a book that I picked up over the weekend. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's called Primal Intelligence. I'm in the middle of reading it, down to the last few chapters, and I'm going to try to profile some books that I'm in the middle of reading. This book is written by a professor named Angus Fletcher. He works at Ohio State. Ohio State has they have something called Project Narrative. I didn't know anything about this. I heard this author on an interview talking about this shortly before the book came out. The reason I was interested in it is he's talking a lot about natural intelligence, what he calls primal intelligence, as an anecdote to competing in an AI world. What drew me is he's working very intimately with U.S. Special Forces. And to me, any mode of thought or psychology that is embraced by the military and especially Special Forces fascinates me, simply because the context in which the men and women in uniform have to make decisions in combat scenarios. That's a much more intense environment than most of us will ever face. And so I've always been of the opinion that if it's combat tested, then it's worth considering to the extent that we can apply it in other contexts. But this project narrative at Ohio State focuses on something called narrative intelligence, which is essentially how people can use story to make decisions. And I'm still in the middle of this book. I'll provide a review when I'm done and I've had a chance to think about it. But I will say, so far, out of the thousands of books I've read, there are only a handful that have been real game changers for me in my own thinking. One of them is Annie Duke's Thinking in Bets. There are a handful of other ones, but I will say this book is becoming up there. Like I said, I need to finish it. I need to think about it. I need to go back and reread certain sections. But so far, it is really changing my thinking in terms of how we can tap into certain modes of psychology. You know, one of the things the author said that really resonates with me is that with traditional education, people are at risk of just becoming second-rate algorithms. We constantly have to think about what we can do, how we can facilitate our thinking in this AI world. So more to come later, but this is a book that is really changing my thinking and seemingly providing a lot of tools. And on the investment front, we're constantly looking for some kind of psychological edge, right? I mean, in public markets, you really can't have advantageous information, but you can use information advantageously. And I think serious investors always sort of go down this deep hole of studying psychology and trying to understand their own psychology, trying to understand market psychology. I think this is a book that can be a major contribution to that field, to the field of decision making in business and in finance and investments.